My guests today are Kristina Jonkuvienė and Kestutis Jovajsas, co-founders of Lithuanian EdTech startup EditAI. Kristina is an AI specialist with a background in applied mathematics and machine learning from EPFL in Switzerland, previously recognized at Mass Challenge for her AI ventures. Kestutis brings over 15 years of experience in strategy and education consulting, having worked with ministries and schools across Europe. Together, they are building AI tools that help teachers create rich cross-curricular learning experiences, not to replace educators, but to empower them. Hello and welcome. I am really glad to have both of you here. And for example, to start with, can you start with your background? Can you tell a little bit about you, what brought you to the education sector, how you came with the idea? Maybe let's start with Kristina. Ladies first.
So my name is Kristina Jonkuvienė, and I am working at Management Consulting Gulliver right now with Kestutis, and also at EditAI, our spin-off for educational technology. And to tell the truth, Kestutis was the influencer for me to choose the educational path. We made a lot of projects together in the education. Together we're visiting a lot of schools. During 4-5 years, we visited more than 400 schools in Lithuania and abroad, and first-hand hearing, what are the challenges that teachers are facing, the headmasters are facing. So it made us think a lot, at least on my side, and to feel that we can create a really great value for humanity, for kids. We all have kids, and this is super important topic in education. And by working in education, we can create something very beneficial. And especially, I feel this need to help teachers, those who are daily spending the time with the kids, and they become then the biggest influencers for our kids.
Those people on the front line.
Yeah, exactly.
And how
So,
about?
and the team I brought probably more of the AI technology topic, which helped a little bit, to go from first ideas, doing everything manually, helping teachers manually, to empowering them with technology in hands.
And what is your experience what's your background with artificial intelligence in particular? What makes you, are you the technical mind behind all of that?
There are a lot of minds behind that, I would say. My journey with AI started when I was living in Poland 10 years ago. And I discovered and I saw firsthand how it will change our world. Anything that we're gonna do, it will be with help of AI. And then, since my background is applied mathematics, with the help of other people, I understood that it's possible to understand machine learning and what is behind that, and how to create such things as ChatGPT. So my journey started from trying to understand the things, how we work, when I studied in Switzerland, when I was working there, and at EPFL. And then I came back. I would say that management consulting practice showed a lot of cases, how it could be applied, and it all the time fosters the interest in going deeper. And also probably community helps a lot. I am in Women in AI from the beginning when we created a chapter in Switzerland. So it also, helps to learn, share new ideas, and see how it can evolve in the future. So it's just, I would say, curiosity led me to this background.
I love that kind of curiosity. And how about you, Kestutis?
Hello, my name is Kestutis Jovajsas. Probably differently from Kristina, I have spent most of my life in Lithuania, having some projects abroad, but still like with the home base in Lithuania. And I have spent 20 years in management consulting in different firms. And it happened so that even different bosses and managers in the firm said that education is sort of a hopeless industry and we should focus rather on banking, energy, and utilities and other sectors where there are a lot more money, from a consulting point of view. It happened so that I have spent, I think, half of my projects in education in all these 20 years. So working with universities, schools, districts, national agencies, ministries, teachers, schools, and so on. So,
And it didn't scare you?
no, I sometimes receive the same question, sort of, why education? And now I'm not maybe afraid. No, I'm no longer afraid to answer this. That it's meaningful. It's sort of something is behind just, behind money, behind something. It's like a bit of a higher purpose to change, to give something to society. And I guess that was the main driving force, all the last 20 years, why educational projects, even sometimes they were very tough and difficult, because that is mainly job with people which are intelligent, intellectual, and so on, and it's sensitive areas at the same time as we work with kids. There was always a high meaning for it. So I have spent 20 years in consulting, working half-time more or less on projects in education, and then I met this crazy mathematician, which we had few projects together, and they included visiting schools. I mean, we help schools to prepare business plans for the next 10 years. And when you see in practice, and you discuss with school leaders, with teachers, with kids, with the communities, what they're facing in Switzerland, in Latvia, Estonia, Poland, Lithuania, other countries, you see that every single school is different in terms of infrastructure, culture, habits, management style, community, and so on. But there are so dramatic challenges now that are happening. Started with the COVID and change of the technology, rapid speed of the evolving of the technology that affects education heavily. And then there came idea to our mind that due to some things that are common across the schools, regardless of the city, of the size of the school, of the culture, we want to build something that actually would solve these challenges, or at least to help teachers' everyday life, so that they could spend more time with the kids, giving their attention, and prepare them for their interesting future. So I guess that was our path.
And have you got an idea how to solve those problems from the start, or does it have to evolve?
The idea was evolving over time. Probably we will not disclose the origin of EditAI, how the name came to life, is on public now on the record, but maybe in private we will do sometime after. But I guess that was building. You go to school and then you spend time while driving a car. So these 2 hours, like driving to school and going back, gives perfect time for reflection, what we saw and what comes out of it. And I guess the initial idea came on slideware. So we initially knew the idea what sort of a solution could solve a problem, even before ChatGPT appeared. The idea was already put on the slides, we want this in the school. And it was building bit by bit. You go next day to another school and then you update your idea, with some additional features. Then you change everything. Then you have doubts in yourself, when you reconfirm or reassure yourself with some other arguments. And this was a journey. This was not a momentum sort of, oh, let's do it, this is okay. And even working on projects with schools, we still didn't have a company, we didn't have a team and technology behind. We just had a rough idea that we want this problem to be somehow solved. It was evolving. I guess those discussions in a car, while driving to school and back, gave us time to think and discuss. It is impossible to think alone about these things. And then we took our chance to participate in European EdTech accelerator. This is European, with European SchoolNet. So we wrote an application, and we forgot even about it. We wrote one, and after a few months we received the notification that we sort of got accepted among 8 other startups which already had the technology, and they were testing it during acceleration program, and we were just coming with the idea. So I guess spending time with other startups started in Denmark, in interesting house where we met, we cooked ourselves, we sort of spent our time knowing each other. I guess after that, there was no way back, and this gave us confidence to go maybe more brave into this and actually start doing something instead of, dreaming and building idea. So then we started a company, then we decided to hire a few teammates together, and then, this journey started. So that was a decisive moment, probably, like reassurance yourself, not only in our own country, but like meeting people from Estonia, Finland, Germany and other countries, what they're thinking, how their perspective is in relation to technology and education. And we were like those white rabbits, in a field where everyone is already doing something, like we're practicing, we have a technology, and we were like new hires in the firm, like with idea only. But that gave maybe us a reassurance that our idea is not bad. Like in comparison to what others speak and how they perceive, the international market.
Right, and for me to understand it well, I try to put it on a timeline. Your idea to incorporate AI in this kind of a setup was before release of the ChatGPT to the public or after that?
No. The idea came to life before. Then we already started to prototyping it manually. Sort of, can we imagine if we write it down?
Thanks to the crazy mathematician, right?
No, before it was like a manual work. I mean, we really tried to create the outputs, how everything would look like, and we believed that maybe it will be manual work.
And what gave you the the idea, the confidence that it is possible at all? Because from my perspective, the ChatGPT moment was an eye-opening for a lot of people and made them realize what's possible, for what are the possible applications in education, for example. And what gave you the idea before that moment?
Before that moment, we didn't know that it will be possible. Okay. We started our journey with a slideware where we considered that we will do it manually. Sort of, we will create sort of a database. Maybe that will be sort of involving some machine learning elements, like a database which with the access to or to solve the same challenge. And then what happened, like we already had a few prototypes because we knew from our past that before spending any money on IT, probably we need to test the output, whether that is used at the school level. So based on the idea, we started with the outputs in a manual way, like writing ourselves and going to schools and saying, look, our technology will produce these kind of results. Would you use them? Like, how do you like them? And we started to receive feedback that is fantastic. Just we need thousands of them at one school. And it took us around 1 month to create one. and we need thousands. And suddenly ChatGPT appeared. And I remember that day we were sitting in the office, like with the team, and I don't even remember or recall who, but the idea was, hey, but maybe if we receive the same quality, but we have delivered manually in output, with the help of ChatGPT, would it be possible to have 1,000 in 1 month instead of, or in weeks, instead of manual work? Because we already knew that this output is required by the teacher. So just was the question whether it takes us 1 month to prepare one piece, or we have a technology which generates automatically unlimited number of the same output. Because we already got the confirmation that the output that we prepared manually works. You know, so idea came to mind, and I don't remember who said to whom, but like Kristina said, no, it's impossible. Like, no, like, forget about it. But then, you know, this curiosity, but maybe, okay, let's try this and that and that. So once we got ourselves with the help of ChatGPT and technology, the same quality output that we prepared manually, then we knew that it is possible. Sort of, it took, again, like maybe half a year, you know, for this confirmation. Next step was we created a group of teachers, so volunteers, who would test the output in terms of a quality level. And we were distributing outputs to them, created by technology, you know, with the feedback form, where they needed to score different, in accordance to the different criteria, the evaluation point, from 1 to 10. So initial evaluations were on average, like, you know, 20 criterias, and you receive an average score of like 2.5 out of 10. Okay. Then you work again, you send again another batch of 20 projects to the same group of teachers, then the score level is 4.5. So we worked with this group of teachers, I guess, I don't know, 3-4 months, when we started to receive on average grade of 9, 9.5, 8.8, and so on. And then it was a moment when we went to one municipality with meet 50 teachers and demonstrate the MVP.
What was the year back then?
No, 2023.
23, like 2 years ago.
November 1st. And that was a national holiday. Teachers were angry to meet on a national holiday, but they were forced by municipality. And you can sense, you know, we are coming with the MVP of a product, a bit afraid. A bit is a light word for that. And you know, there are people which we brought from the vacation period to the classroom for 1 day to look and to give us feedback. And
and what was the feedback at first from those teachers?
From this group?
Yes, from this group. Weren't they reluctant or afraid, or was they excited?
You know, imagine the situation. We are like a performers coming to the group, which is on average more angry than happy because they were brought from the holiday to listen to us.
Another day in the classroom, I'll say.
Yes. And after 2 or 3 hours of presentation, everybody stands and gives us a massive applause.
Okay.
So that was so emotional, and you know, it's a bit of a, you know, on the edge to crying, and I guess that was very inspirational to move forward, you know. So we gave them, and we said, thank you, guys, we support you. So, you know, with the applause, with the positive feedback, we didn't go to the technology yet, you know, we were just presenting and sort of wanted to see this straight reaction, you know, from the group of people that we trust and they trust us. But in general, you know, going from the vacation to see something, you needed to surprise.
Yeah.
So this was a journey, I guess, that took us maybe 1.5 years. And some people say, oh, you are so lucky, like in just 1 year you created something. No, I guess that is a combination also with the Kristinas and myself and also other team members' experience that was collected in the past. So myself from education, Kristinas in AI and also education, Aquiles in product development, Domas in technology. So I guess, those intentions brought together gave us a product, but you cannot disregard the previous experience and belief and the sense of purpose why we do this, and the end journey was already like a sharpening a pencil already. The pencil was there, so we were sharpening the pencil to showcase the product in the market.
And also I would add, the being brave in the journey is very important with AI. Because everyone sees the application that is already well made, and then
The final product.
the final the products that we are using every day in all the domains, not only education, and then the expectations are very high. When we start to create something, then actually we have a very poor quality of the product, and we started with a crappy ChatGPT version at that time for Lithuanian language. I mean, it was doing still a lot of like grammatical mistakes.
Yeah, same in Polish, exactly.
Exactly. So then when we started, it was brave enough to believe that one day it will be better. And now we see in every domain that whatever we create now, it will be, at certain point of time, perfect, or almost perfect. Like, for example, in education now, we really have issues with assessments. If we ask AI to assess, there are a lot of false positives. But this is the point of time that we are evaluating now. Like, in some years, it will be almost perfect or better than human do, because humans still do errors, right? So in every single specific application, it is, you have to be brave enough to try and believe that it will evolve and to see in which areas will evolve. And I believe in education, I think we will cover many, many areas, not only us, but others as well, because there are a lot of benefits from that.
And it is important not to lose traction now. If you say that I would like to have this in a technology, like this element, and maybe now it is sort of only halfway possible to deliver, you still need to start doing it. Because over a period of 12 future months, you will have a know-how and technology, you will dig in. At the same time, the innovation globally will evolve. And much more things will be possible to deliver, but at the same time, you having a know-how, in the field. So,
But I'll say that it's easier said than done. And for example, the thing you said that at first you had like 2 out of 10, and then you moved to 9.5 out of 10 scoring in the perception. And maybe you can share a little bit more how you did that in particular. What changes you did, or were you just benefiting? Just I'm saying in quotes, benefiting from the improving models, or were those, say, changes in, I don't know, prompting, engineering, or technology?
I would say it's a principle of your roadmap. How you operate. So our operation started that we assessed the outputs of the system in scoring, but the feedback table was in so much detail, like how do you like the grammar, how do you like the preciseness level, how do you like the different things, and we were listening to them. So what we did, when teachers were giving us feedback, we started to adjust the prompt so that the same error or same result will not be anymore in the future in the next output, like in automatic delivery. So in the beginning, we started to improving a prompt, by listening to what teachers need. But now, when we released an MVP, to beta version, it was also a lot of changes. Now we have released already the 6th version of EditAI, the 5th version at Easter, and we are heading up to the version number 6 in September, version number 7 in January. So we are launching a new version every quarter based on the teacher feedback. Because once you deliver something, when you go to school and listen, say, okay, so what do you need? Oh, we need this and that. Now we need slides. Teachers need slides for them to make an automatic lesson. Then they need student access. And, with every single version, we listen what they extra need. So we sort of involve teachers as a co-creators in a platform.
And you listen to needs clearly, because that's that's something that entrepreneurs do, right? But do you listen to, I don't know, problems, challenges, fears as well?
If you go to the school, as we sometimes laugh, that the biggest problem in a school that there are no problems. Everybody is happy. I mean, if you visit the school from the street and say, how do you live here? Everybody will say, look, these are the kids' works on the walls. These are the championship medals on the wall. These are the craftsmanship and, the lessons, and the sport hall is so renovated. Everything is fantastic. Yeah, there are some errors in relationship, but everything works cool.
Right.
But if you actually live there, then you sense the problem that nobody speaks, because you need to feel them. You need to understand why something is happening. Why, for example, people are close to, or sort of, I would say, not communicating to one another. Why the problems are sometimes under the carpet and not on the front. So I guess our advantage was that we actually spend a lot of time when people talk, and what we have witnessed with our eyes, even though they didn't talk. Because we were asking questions that were not very maybe comfortable, but even how we answer, you can already sense things, how students move during the break shows a lot. How people eat at the canteen of a school shows a lot. Many things shows you different signs of what the school is and what challenges they face, and then people start to more and more they trust you, more and more they start to be open, because everywhere is people challenge, and I guess that is a limiting factor for any technology in education. When you come to a school, everyone will say everything is fantastic. How do you know which problem to solve? And I guess for us that worked very well, that we had this previous experience in consulting while visiting them, because then they are open to you. You draft their strategy, and then you make discovery sessions about what the real problems are, what they really want to change, or what problem to solve, what are the connections between teachers themselves, what is the atmosphere. And I guess that was the main area to understand and to listen.
And what were your findings? What kind of challenges you discovered?
Different ones. I guess the main challenge, if I may describe, is the teachers somewhat left alone in the rapidly changing technological world, especially that grew during the COVID time. Yes, the school managed really well, by adopting Teams or Zoom or Google Meets or other distant learning opportunities. But it brought to public some challenges that is similar across the world. And one is that education 50 years ago was a bit of a deficit in a society. If you wanted to be someone in a society or achieve someone, everyone understood that you need to go and learn. If you wanted a book, it was pretty expensive to buy. You needed to go to the library. And school was the only source of truth or information, especially with a good teacher.
Now it's TikTok.
Yeah, and technology changed so rapidly. Probably we were the witnesses, where we still know how to ring the phone with this, classical thing. And
Yeah.
when I show it to my kid,
Dial-phone, yeah.
he doesn't know what to do with that. So I guess what happened in education globally is that it still is very much driven by adults and by expectations from the society that it needs to be like as it used to be. That kids are very motivated and disciplined to listen, to stay silent, do not ask questions, because we are the main source of information here.
Yeah.
And what happened is that
Tables have turned.
information became not the deficit. It's no longer a deficit that you need the school for information. You can have YouTube, you can have TikTok, you can have, if you're curious, you may get information like on your phone right now. Now with ChatGPT, you can even ask, yes, you need to double check whether it hallucinates or not, whether the answer is correct, but still the information is there. The question, what is the purpose of the school further on? Yeah. If the information is no longer limited to only one source like a school. Yes, definitely it's a time to spend, location to spend time while parents are working and trying to secure their home, or work for life. Second is, what is the role of a teacher further on? Whether to repeat information that is online,
Or to read it out.
Or to let the kids just to repeat the same things. And naturally, the most often question that kids now receive in the school, that is constantly repeated to us as well, why we learn what we learn? Why do I need it?
It's written in the internet, yeah.
It's written, why do I need it? And teachers were not prepared for this. They were prepared that kids will be motivated to come because it is an obligation to stay silent and to be disciplined in what you do. And you do not question me, why? You just, you may ask how or what, but never why. And they find it difficult to explain.
And how do you, for that instance, how do you answer to that question? Why do we learn that? And what is the place of EditAI in this puzzle?
Okay, good question. I'm not answering that question.
All right.
Neither to my kid nor to the teacher. I guess when the question appears, that is already wrong. I never witnessed my kid, my son, to ask why for the thing that he is engaged. Whether he is engaged in some scientific discovery or exploration or arts or music or something, when he is really engaged, he will ask how, and will do everything at his best, to identify how. And 2 years later, he will remember everything perfectly. So we raised ourselves probably a point how to make teachers' life easier, to engage kids to real life experiences, because in a class everybody is not a standard unit. The textbook is a standard one for all, like in chemistry, biology, maths, and so on. And yes, they need still the foundational knowledge, but every student is individual. One is much more interested in arts, the other in sports, the third one in some motorcycles maybe, and the extracurricular activities. So how for the teacher to present the chemical reaction through the element that you actually enjoy? How to present music through a volcano eruption? How to demonstrate the fall of a star from the eyes of the music, or other things, So there are a lot of ways to inspire, and our goal with EditAI is not to replace the textbook, because there is still a knowledge which is structured and classified in certain field, and this is very much similar curricula-wise across the globe, that we are learning what we're learning. This is how we can communicate against each other, and have the same language, even though we pronounce the same things differently, but still we are able to talk, and understand things in a similar way. But whether we remember and we are equally engaged in the same things, probably not. Same with kids. So EditAI comes with the opportunity for the teacher to bring curricula and foundational knowledge and demonstrate it through the practical real-life examples what happens outside.
And different lenses.
For example, if we are learning biology and muscle structure, and I'm a sportsman, it's very much likely I will get to understand better if I'm presented the muscle structure through the things that I really enjoy and understand. This is from my body, how it restores after the training or practice, how to prepare better for the competition event, what is the heart rate, what is the different elements of the body structure, so that I'm aware.
How do you build muscle?
Exactly.
How do you burn them?
Exactly, and you can have a lot of topics to combine.
Yeah. And clearly AI brings clear value here, and it sounds all perfect, right? But Kristina, what's your take on that?
I would say clear and unclear at the same time, to be honest. I think with AI we have to be quite humble because we don't imagine all the possibilities, how we can really use it in the best way possible for our kids in general. And now Kestutis was explaining things and I was thinking like right now, oh my God, we even do not imagine how it would look like in 3 years. And I think it will, give us a lot of learning during this journey, how we can apply it even in the best way possible for every single individual or child. We have some kind of puzzle imagination, but I think it's gonna, bring us to many, many dimensions because we are learning a lot. As kids are learning, during the lesson, following their motivation, curiosity, teachers learning as well when the technology comes into their classroom and they apply it, and the methods become a little bit different, the journey becomes a little bit different. So we, as the same way as a startup, we are learning a lot. And I think what is very important to understand, it's not a static product as textbook, and currently also should not be only the static thing that is used in a classroom. Everything is so dynamic, and this dynamism brings a lot of value and benefit, as for example, following, curiosity of a child. Everyone knows very well that we don't teach child to walk.
Yeah.
We never teach child to walk. They walk because they have this motivation to reach the candy or something, or to reach mommy or daddy.
Yeah, or tablet.
So if we can repetitively do this in a classroom setting, then everyone benefits.
Yeah, I believe, that it is important to mention why, what is ChatGPT, what is AI LLMs now in general, and we do not expect it to deliver something we know that we do not have. Like, we are not supposed to be used as Google, like, a sort of classification of available information elsewhere. And when you ask the question, it calculates the answer. It does not provide you the source. It calculates the answer, the most probable answer. So what we want to utilize is like super gigantic machine of calculation that can really help people when there is a text involved. So how to utilize the efforts of teachers that are in some cases struggling, to get kids motivated, to get kids engaged. Nobody says ever that teachers are not good teachers. I think we care. We work in the school. We care so much. The question is, how can we help them while utilizing the technology that exists and protecting them from the technological elements that it cannot be sort of, we cannot expect every single teacher will be an expert in LLM and follow every single development. But if we provide them with the tools that they need, and also protecting them from the tools that can damage some things, so we give them comfort. And if that comfort with the technology helps them to increase student engagement, say by 30 or 40%, helps them individualize the content, helps them to bring this joy to the class, then I guess this is already a huge advancement.
Yeah, I can surely agree and see the benefit of having the joy in learning. That's the crucial thing. But what you've said brings me to my other question and concern about the cheating crisis. And lately you could see over the internet that some of the teachers are resigning because they see that there is a statistic that 90% of students used ChatGPT lately. So 90%, most of them are using it and preparing your assessments or your written exercises. They usually use the ChatGPT to generate the whole thing, and they add 20% of the humanity to that. And that somehow, you said the important thing, we need to build tools to support teachers, to help them, and how you can approach that, and maybe what's your perspective on the scale of the AI cheating crisis?
The question is, if you do something that you do not believe it's valuable to you, then you do it for somebody else but not for yourself. So imagine you are a child in a school where you have your own belief that this text is written and you don't need it. And me as a teacher say, no, you must. What is your obvious solution to that?
Copy that from the internet.
Exactly.
That was in my times.
What we did in the university when those floppy A disk, were available, we were printing, copying, texting someone.
Now I was getting my assessments from my colleagues as well.
Yeah, exactly. So if you do something that you do not find meaningful for yourself, then you do something for others, and then you find ways on how to do it faster. So you may call it cheating, but maybe we can look at the same problem through another angle. Like, does the kid do the work for you or for himself? And if for you, then he will do in a way best, in the most optimized way, so that the kid may have time with his kids on TikTok, playing football, basketball, playing piano, and so on. So, maybe we can ask ourselves whether we have enough evidence, not like a default setting that kids must learn and they must not cheat, and whether do we create an atmosphere and an environment where they learn and they want to learn, or they need to do something because we have set as adults the environment that they just must. And they do not have a clue. And when they are brave enough to ask the question, why do I need it? And teacher failed to explain. Then here you go. I mean, this is a ChatGPT version. I can even say that it's ChatGPT because you needed it, I didn't. Here you go, you can read. This is a system. So this is like a kids are massively challenging the status quo. Like, it's either we will cheat if you call it, but we say we don't find the purpose and meaning of this. Some still do. I appreciate this, but there is a majority and critical mass which don't. So they say we will optimize our time, because you do not respect us what we want, and you do not respect us to answer even the same simple question, why do you need it? And if you fail, then I will do what you want, but this is not what I want, and I would do it as fast as I can. Ideally, with one click.
To have time to play.
Yeah, exactly.
And to learn in real life.
Exactly.
And I'm interested in your perspective on that, Kristina, as well, because from my research, the children or students at school perceive using ChatGPT for your assessments as a digital literacy, not as cheating. And how do you perceive it? Is it cheating?
I would say it really depends on the rules. I remember from my school, we had a math teacher, and he was against calculators during math. He has his own reasons. I don't say he was bad or good. He had his own reasons. He wanted we would do a lot of mental calculations, and then fly in the future. But the thing is that during the other lessons, biology, physics, oh my God, we were using calculators a lot, and it helped us to make more interesting things to calculate and not to stop and stuck with simple calculations, but do more difficult things during one lesson. And physics and biology teacher were very happy that we were using. So there are times when you should do something and use it because it's available. At times, short periods of times to practice some other, qualities and competencies. And I would say now it's a very, very challenging time, and for students and for teachers to adapt, the things are changing. We cannot exclude ChatGPT from our lives. Not only ChatGPT, we are talking about it in general terms, right? There are a lot of good tools others than ChatGPT. But we have to define where we want to see that kids use it and knows how to use it and knows how critically evaluate if the answers are correct or not, and what I do next when I get the answer. So we have to work on that and to learn both ways, and teachers and students, because what students are using, we know, but teachers from the very beginning are like great users of all AI tools, only that we are still have this stigma, not among only teachers, but among all smart people, that I'm smart only if I create or say something that I created or generated as an idea, but not without assistance of AI. Then I'm smart. So everyone is still trying a little bit to hide this assistance and help. But if you ask them anonymously, everyone is using because it helps. It saves time. And it helps us to focus on things that, as Kestutis say, it really gives us value. And this really always, the test with multiple choice or some like predictable answers give us a lot of value. Not always, I would say, right? For example, from my experience, I remember the best the assessments where we had connection with teacher and I had to somehow deliver the topic or had an exam orally, basically because it's not only the assessment at that particular point, how I memorized, but during that particular day, test or exam in oral way, I'm learning. Because it's a conversation, as a philosopher or somebody, I give an answer, I have a correction immediately or reflection, I give another one, then I see that there is not only one right answer A or B, it might be something in between. So this means that it gives us a possibilities to find other very, very good ways to show if we learned or we didn't learn. If we got the competencies such as critical thinking, problem solving, creativity or not. So I think we will see much more different, different ensemble, how the kids are presenting their, knowledge. Did they learn or not? Not in writing. It will be less in writing than other possible ways. you know, because we also know very well that kids are learning a lot, and adults as well, through doing practically something with your own hands. Not only memorizing, but what you put in practice, you remember for a long time. So, do we need test for that? No, we just need space and time for kids to create and present their work. Is it much more work for teachers? Sometimes it is, sometimes not. So I think it will just change a little bit the setup and where we put our time and effort.
You know, maybe to add, if you look at this global society in general, you know, over 100,000 years, education, as we know, like a system that everyone is now frustrated, like, oh, something has changed, what to do, teachers are leaving and kids are not happy, like somebody is cheating, somebody is using EditAI, somebody is using ChatGPT, and you know, many things like internet materials, like a lot of fake information, you know, and non-trustworthy information, like many things happen. So what to do? Obviously, the development, technological advancement of a society in general has cracked the current system of education. Nobody knows what it will be in the future, but it has cracked, and I guess everybody understands it will has to change.
Yeah.
It will be inertial. It is still conservative because same adults expects their kids to receive high grades in the end. Sort of they expect the same system to deliver them those grades because this is how we measure whether their kid is smart or not. You know, so adults still maintain, you know, this societal structure.
Stigma.
But how was education 1,000 years ago? Just 1,000 among like 3 billion of age of the earth, you know, how kids were learning from their adults like mastership something. They were discovering, sometimes we liked it, sometimes we did it for food, sometimes for the shelter, sometimes for the war purposes, but still they mastered something from the adult, you know, like a role model. They learn values, they learn attitude, culture, and other things. And if you look to the ancient societies, how could one society sort of evolve to paper discovery? How could another society evolve to metal discovery, you know, and other stuff? Because that was evolving and learning and discovering at the same time, you know, in a society. And now suddenly, you know, we have this education system for how long? Maybe 200-300 years ago, you know, when everyone was equipped with the book, and the book were, you know, structured in a way, like a Wikipedia, just in paper, and we expected this to last an unlimited number of years. But since that worked well in this period of time, I mean, we evolved as a society, we reached Mars maybe, you know, other planets, and, you know, we improved our life expectancy by how much? 30 or 50 years, you know, so we live longer, we stay healthy longer, and so on. And that is amazing opportunity. Even the number of starving people are much less than used to be. So what's next, nobody knows. And I guess, you know, those will win who will actually try to iterate and test and be brave to test and get this knowledge, because it will has to change. You know, still it will be inertial, it will be conservative, but the technological advancement of a society is just too high not to affect education. In what way, we don't know. Probably you don't know, we don't know, teachers don't know. And for the teachers, as we call them, it is one of the most conservative industry. They are the most resistant to change, because they believe they are proud of what they do, because they are this knowledge point to the society, and they want to be respected for what they do. And they feel that in some cases that they are losing this respect because they are delivering something that is already used to be working before, and now something needs to change. So we believe we just need to help teachers. They are great people. We are caring for the children, caring for communities in school, but we need to help them to be more brave in this process, not to secure them to keep the past, but to help them and guide them with the hand nearby to go through this evolving change process. Yes,
and change is always frightening to people. It doesn't surprise us now that some of the teachers have come to the crisis, and even maybe some students are not prepared for that. The school used to looks different, and now it changed. So it may be frightening. So I clearly see the need of helping both sides to go through this change. But so it's clear for me that you started with your bold vision, and you were brave enough to imagine the system that technically wasn't possible back then, and great kudos to you for that. But on the other hand, to finish this conversation up, what you've said is that in between the lines, I see that it's a great business opportunity as well. If the education is changing, you being poised to benefit from the change. Is that right?
Well,
or you don't look in this,
No. When we meet other startups from other industries, like it's either energy or banking, they just speak about billions and trillions of dollars, in valuations and like building society from clicks and other stuff. I believe that for us it is more of a passion, purpose. Only second, it comes the number of schools, which leads directly to the covering of our cost, because we still need to maintain ourselves like a team, salaries and so on. So I believe that financial purpose becomes much less, unless we cover our cost and we reach this growth to cover more countries. So yes, definitely in education it is an opportunity, but it is still very difficult sector. Every single country is different. The habits are different. Culture is different. So when you consider, these market entry points, the acceptance, because that should be also the society acceptance to your technology, like massive and so on. It may take how much, like 5 to 10 years? So it is in some way similar to some drug accreditation and acceptance in the US, that with the clinical trials.
Takes time.
Takes time, takes efforts, takes a lot of money and patience not to skip somewhere in between. So if there is a market opportunity, yes, at certain cost. So the question is like who and how long will be able to maintain the efforts and not to give up, while reaching certain point. But we are glad that there are, hundreds or even thousands different EdTech startups, providing this, and I guess that this also creates some collective knowledge, where it is going. Somebody will catch up on these later and will create a new startup, So I guess that these collective efforts also is a driving force, not while only EditAI or the other, but the collective force is a huge help for the teachers at the same time. Individually, it is impossible to maintain such a entry cost, development cost, and also, patience for 10 years.
You can't do the project for 10 years if you don't believe in it. If it's not your passion, you can't do it simply. So that's sort of an answer to that as well.
We can.
That's great.
We believe.
You believe, and then it makes it easier for you. we are heading, sadly, because we have a lot of subjects that we could cover as well, but sadly we are heading towards the end. But let's wrap up with rapid fire session. I'll ask you a few questions, and first to Kestutis, then to Kristina, and please answer both of you the same questions, right? And the first thought is the best thought. Don't overthink that.
Then we will delete it.
Yeah, we can delete it later on, of course. So let's go on. AI in education. Is it a savior or saboteur?
Both.
Both. Kristina?
It is such a big contextual change that we need to learn how it will be in the future. So it's both. It's cracking the current system, but creating new opportunities at the same time.
Kristina?
Both. With every AI application, we can create new drug or new poison with the same algorithm. So it's always both.
Great. Let's move on. The most overused buzzword in EdTech right now.
Buzzword. Kristina, you start.
Crisis. I'll say my answer will be crisis.
I think not one word, but everyone has an opinion. Every single one. Will the teachers will be replaced by AI or no?
Okay, I have few buzzwords, which I believe in the future will be totally either obsolete or different. One is pedagogical methods or didactical elements. This has a huge buzz around universities and stuff, so sort of how to teach teachers, how to teach the kids, in this so dramatically changing environment, when teachers still receive the same question, why do we need it? So that is one. Second is curriculum. Every single country spends an enormous amount of time, money, and so on for the curricula, which now, when we adapt different country curriculums in EditAI, we see that 90% of the curricula is exactly the same. It's just named in the different things. So, but everyone is focused on the anchor, that it must to have our own because it's so unique. Although everyone copy-paste from one another, and lines to different language and structure. So that is second.
Interesting. Interesting. Let's move on to the next one.
I guess those two, pedagogical or didactical elements, that is very often heard. And also the third one is research-based.
Okay.
A research-based solution. If you want to do a proper research, it takes you 1 year, then 1 year to publish, and so on. Within 2 years, we have a 5th or 10th version of ChatGPT, and maybe a quantum computer created.
Everything's changed.
So this research-based, Google didn't have any research-based use in the school level. Microsoft didn't have. Those smart boards never had one research-based, whether they help or not. They are just tools. So I believe that we need to trust teachers more, because they see kids every day, and not to tell them how to do their job. We need just to help them in different ways, but not to structure that you must do this way. Centralized approach that just doesn't work anymore.
All right, the next one. The one feature you're most proud of in EditAI.
Adaptation of the lesson content to special learning needs.
Great.
I think, we have to be humble. We are just at the beginning, of this journey. But when we started to implement it, and when we see what it can bring into the classroom, how we can solve this painful, problem that we are facing, but every kid might be different, might have dyslexia, might have ADHD, might have autism or whatever. And if we find the best ways to accommodate them, to adapt the lesson for them, then we will all benefit. So I think I'm the most proud of this beginning of journey.
Okay.
Myself, I'm most proud of the initial idea that we built EditAI for. This is when you create ingredients for your lesson and you push this generate click, and it submerge everything around real life examples. So I guess we didn't go from that initial thought. We just, add other things around it. But that initial idea, I'm the most proud that and happy, and still feel quite a number of emotions when we do demos to school and we say, okay, now we will click, and you never know what will happen.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to see teachers' eyes, when they can witness this, and you can see joy. So I guess that picture is the most important for me.
Great. Another one. A book, podcast, or person who shaped how you think about education?
Kids. I think myself, I learned the most from kids, and I think at EditAI we are really keen to follow and to see as many kids as possible. Not every day, probably, we see more teachers, but kids are the best who teach you, gives the feedback, show you how flawed your thinking is, and where you have to improve your thinking, how we do things at EditAI. So I think kids are the best teachers, not research-based, not evidence-based, but
Life-based.
Life-based.
Kestutis?
Myself, I look from two angles to the education system. One is the kid, and since everybody says education is important, I don't believe in that statement. It is important until the kid's grown up. That's it. I mean, if you truly say you care about education, this is still the edge when your kid is at school. Then you care. In general, you care about there is no violence in the streets, everybody is educated, but whether you contribute to education, whether your kid is not going to school, probably not. So it is popular to say, I'm for education. So I disconnect two things. This is my kid, my son, and whom I care most, how and who will be in the future. And at the same time is educational system as such, where kids come and go. So how to build better society where kids come and go, that is the teacher. And you will not be able to replace 100 million teachers, globally in one day. This is the most reputable profession in some countries. In some countries it develops quite rapidly. But still, people do a lot of efforts in caring about your children. And sometimes it's invisible, but they have a guidance, So if we want to change the society, we need to help teachers. Because if you do not help teachers, then they put this resistance to what comes to the class. They like gatekeepers, what comes to class and what doesn't. If you want to change education really, you need to help teachers. So when the gatekeeper opens the door, then kids will receive it, the benefit.
Oh, right.
If you do not get the access to teachers' heart, unfortunately, but that information or technology or idea will not enter the classroom. I'm for the teachers. I believe in teachers.
Okay. And the last question, rapid question, short answer. If EditAI had a tagline written by a student, what would it be?
I think I would be happy with a simple one. I like learning.
Okay.
If the students would say that, I think I would be proud, because it's a very important skill during the life, at school, after school, with everything that is changing so quickly, and if in general I see that the kids are writing, I love learning, I think it's a great deal already.
I can quote Kristina's daughter saying that this is a super teacher, she knows everything. And you can ask her anything. So I believe that in a kid's way, what describes very well, how we would like EditAI to be perceived. If kids looks at EditAI like a super teacher, and that super teacher can actually in silent way assist teachers, and also is perceived by the teachers in the same way, that we will be very much proud. But that super teacher that knows everything.
Great, lovely.
Yeah,
that would be really, really great and rewarding for you. And I keep fingers crossed for you to hear that as often as possible. But for now, we have to finish, and thank you for this conversation. It was a great pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for your insights. I hope that your experience will guide some of our listeners. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.